So, as I was saying, global warming causes wildfires, heat waves, strong tropical storms such as hurricanes like Hurricane Sandy, Irene, and even Katrina. Now, the biggest problem with global warming right now is the fact that people aren't willing to change their lifestyles or their behaviors in order to try to reduce the problem. In my survey, when asked which statement is closest to your opinion on global warming, 80% of you voted that humans can reduce global warming but aren't willing to change their behaviors to do so, while 10% of you said that global warming is not happening. So in the next couple of slides, I'm going to list a couple of reasons on how global warming is affecting our planet in places that you might go for sightseeing or even vacations. So these are just a couple. If you actually Google places to see before they disappear, on Google, you'll actually see a list of at least 20 places that are suffering from global warming. I chose Venice, Italy, which is suffering from floods right now, a rise in sea level. We have the Glacier National Park. All the glaciers are actually melting right now. And then the Great Barrier Reef, as I said, is suffering from bleaching. So Venice, Italy, rising seas have led to flooding increases each year. And the global sea levels have rose 17 centimeters in the last century. And then within the last decade, the rate is nearly doubled that. So it's doubled to 17 centimeters. And then down here, you just have some pictures of the more recent floods down in Venice, Italy, as you can see. Most of it's about Glacier National Park, as I said, it's causing shrinking in size and melting. It was once home to 150 glaciers, and now there's only 25 that actually remain. So here you can see from 1938 all the way up to 2006, you can see how the glaciers are actually decreasing in size. And then to the right, you have another part of Glacier National Park from 1913 to 2008, so you can see how the snow is melting in all the glaciers. Now, the Great Barrier Reef, it stretches along more than 1,200 miles of the Australian eastern coast. It's extremely important because it provides home to nearly over 25% of all marine life, which is a pretty big number considering how much of the world has the ocean. Suffering from rising water temperatures, as I said, that's one of the main causes for bleaching. Pollution, cyclones, tropical storms, all these are factors that are destroying the Great Barrier Reef. And then as you can see, on the left side you have a picture of what healthy coral and wildlife should look like, and then after, that's what bleaching does to the actual reef. So while global warming is also destroying places for you to go, places to visit, it also has an effect on our wildlife and their habitats. So there's wildlife in danger. Global warming has effects on our wildlife. These are only just a couple. I mean, there's huge lists of animals that are going to be pretty close to extinction. You have polar bears, which are suffering right now for the melting of the ice caps. Orangutans, their habitats getting destroyed due to poor rain cycles. And then panda bears, they have a low supply of food right now. So the polar bears, their status in the wild is very vulnerable right now. And they're very important to us because they help us understand what's happening out in the Arctic. They're speculated that they could disappear in the wild unless the pace of global warming slows down and is actually reduced. As I said before, they're dependent on sea ice, which is melting at an alarming rate. They use that to get from one place to another. If all the ice cap melts, they can only swim a certain amount of miles before they all drown. So they are pretty close to extinction. And then experts say that the Arctic sea ice is melting at a rate of 9% per decade. All right, and then we got the orangutans. Their age is only 8, and their habitat is also being threatened by global warming. They spend 40% of their day eating, kind of like myself. They rely on rain to grow their fruits. As I said before, their rain cycle is weak right now, so it's making their habitat dry. So they're not getting their fruits that they're supposed to be eating. They're lacking food. Also, with the dry habitat, with the heat, it's causing forest fires, which is actually killing the orangutans. And they are speculated to be at risk of extinction with only a couple of decades. And just a century ago, there was 230,000 orangutans. Now there are only 41,000 Bornean orangutans left and 7,500 Sumatran orangutans. And then you got the panda bears. Once again, global warming is causing habitat loss for them. It's wiping out a lot of their bamboo right now, so they're struggling to survive. And as of 2014, there are only 1,864 pandas alive in the wild. They also could be completely gone by the end of the century. And then we have the ocean, which plays another big part in global warming. It is responsible for increasing the ocean's water temperature. It's not just increasing the top surface of the ocean, it's also increasing levels that go down to 1,500 feet below the surface. So as you go down, it should be getting colder, but it actually gets warmer. This lies well outside the bounds of natural variation. And as many of you probably know, the warmer the ocean, the more energy for hurricanes to actually feed off of. So the warmer the water, the stronger the hurricane, which means more destruction, more money we're gonna have to pay to fix things, and then even more deaths. So the research shows that people don't care about global warming. It's probably always gonna be around. Our generation doesn't care, and the future generation probably won't, just because of all the advanced technology that we have. A survey of more than 1,000 Americans, 21% said that they follow the issue closely. 36 pay little or no attention at all, while the others say they don't care. So to close my presentation, global warming is more dangerous than any other disasters. It destroys our world in present, it destroys our world in future.